Charlotte Flair puts her hands on a referee and is facing a large fine and lengthy suspension. We're going to talk about it in just a second, so stay tuned. This is your Raw review. What's up, Maniacs? My name is Mex. I'm a wrestling fan, a wrestling enthusiast, a WrestleManiac, if you will. And today we are talking about Monday Night Raw. Another meh-ish kind of show. Nothing really exciting here. And for all the okay wrestling that we got in terms of the matchups, there's just nothing exciting here looking towards this whole WrestleMania Backlash pay-per-view. We saw a bit of a vicious attack at the end of the show by Charlotte Flair, like I said in the intro, but we'll get onto that in just a second. Stay tuned to hear everything that happened on Raw last night. In case you didn't know, right here at WrestleManiac UK, I discuss everything that's WWE and AEW. So if this sounds like the place for you, make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the notification bell so you get notified each and every time I drop a new video. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's talk about it if we must. The Raw review. Show opened up with Drew McIntyre coming down to the ring. Drew McIntyre is obviously still quite incensed. The fact that he got beaten up at the hands of ex-Retribution members T-Bar and Mace last week, seemingly by MVP's commands. He poked a few jibes at them, saying that he wants to get retribution at them. And it was the typical Drew McIntyre starts the show babyface promo, rah, rah, rah kind of speech. We saw MVP come out, and I think MVP was not really saying if he had ties to these guys or not, but obviously he has an interest in them, as you know, he wants Bobby Lashley, the WWE champion, to stay in the best shape going into their WrestleMania rematch at WrestleMania Backlash. And as Drew McIntyre kind of left the ring and went to kind of intimidate MVP even more, again we saw Mace, T-Bar come out of nowhere, attack Drew McIntyre. They rolled him back into the ring, done that little devastating double choke slam sit down thing that they do onto Drew McIntyre, and left the ring afterwards, walking past MVP. I thought they might walk up to MVP, kind of stand side by side with him, but no, they walked past MVP, walked to the back. And as they arrived at the back, they had a backstage interview. And the backstage interview, they were basically saying how they're not finished. This is just the beginning and all this kind of stuff. We later on in the night saw Drew McIntyre go backstage, find Adam Pearce, and he said he wants a match with both of them. Adam Pearce was saying, no, you need to find a tag partner. Drew McIntyre said, no, I could do this on my own. Make the match or I'm going to cause hell or something like that. So yeah, we've got Drew McIntyre taking on these two Retribution guys later on in the night. It was funny to see that Bobby Lashley wasn't on this show. I don't know why. I haven't seen anything as to why he was absent. Hopefully it's nothing to do with an injury or COVID or anything like that. Just haven't seen why. We saw MVP in this segment. We saw him in another segment as well later on in the night. So MVP kind of flying the flag for Hurt Business, but no Bobby Lashley, which I thought was kind of weird and wasn't addressed either. So yeah, that was the opening segment of the show. Now we get into the first match of the show, and it is a rematch of something we saw last week. Viking Raiders taking on Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. Not too sure what the point is in the rematch, if I'm being completely honest. This match didn't live up to, I guess, the little excitement that we did get last week with the returning Viking Raiders. And Benjamin and Alexander, they put on, they showed some good stuff. They showed they're very adequate and competent wrestlers, which we knew already. But again, this is another showcase for Eric and Ivar. WWE must want to rebuild them and turn them into like a powerhouse tag team. I guess at the same time, we've just spoken about T-Bar and Mace, who are making their way as a tag team sort of thing as well in recent weeks. So maybe this is their attempt to try and rebuild some type of tag team division. Who knows? But yeah, Viking Raiders using the Viking experience, not the Viking Express, that the new commentator Adnan Verk called it. They got the win, pinning Cedric Alexander. So yeah, Viking Raiders, 2 wins out of 2 in 2 consecutive weeks over Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. tag team division on the way back up. Who knows? We shall see. Next up on the night, we saw Randy Orton having a backstage interview saying how he's got rid of the Fiend now, and the fact he keeps mentioning the Fiend, I don't think he's got rid of him. But yeah, he's got rid of the Fiend now. He's focused fully on the WWE Championship, despite not being able to overcome in the triple threat match last week and getting pinned by Drew McIntyre. We saw Riddle riding on the scooter backstage and was circling him, saying that, you know, he wants to start a tag team with him called RK Bro. And what does the Viper really mean? And all this kind of childish spew that we are very used to Riddle doing right now. So Randy Orton went backstage, found Adam Pearce, and he said, I don't know who that kid is, the guy that has got blonde hair, rides a scooter and all that stuff. I want a match with him now. He needs to learn some respect around here, etc., etc. We got Randy Orton versus Riddle. Very good match from these guys, in my opinion. Riddle has been just putting on, despite all the nonsense backstage. I sit here and say it every week. Despite all the nonsense backstage and in the interviews and the silly promos, when it comes to ring time, Riddle is pulling it out the bag, literally. And he put on a very good match here with Randy Orton. Randy Orton, you know, kind of showing him during the match, those times he had him in a headlock and said, you need to pay respect and this, that, and the other. So Randy Orton doing what he needs to do as well to come across as the veteran here. And Randy Orton thought he was going to get ready for an RKO and put away Riddle during this match, but we actually saw Riddle reverse that RKO and put him in a bit of a crucifix pin, I believe it was, to actually get the win over Randy Orton. And Riddle was kind of so shocked with the fact he done it. Obviously, Randy Orton was shocked as well that he lost. This is, you know, Randy Orton doing what he needs to do now as an older statesman, put these younger guys over, especially for him to come forward and do something with Riddle. He must see something in him. So, yeah, you know, I don't mind doing the job for Riddle sort of thing. So, yeah, Riddle gets a big win over Randy Orton. I think it happened before this segment, before this match. We saw Charlotte Flair come out, and Charlotte Flair still giving it the big one, especially to the women's roster, saying that, you know, she never had a WrestleMania place, but she's beaten Asuka before. She's meant to have a match with Asuka in the main event on the night. Asuka came out. Before Asuka could say anything, Rhea Ripley came out, and they're all going back and forth and having words and stuff like that. And Asuka basically says the usual, you know, Charlotte, you're not ready for Asuka, this, that, and the other, you're a bitch. Charlotte is dumbfounded. Rhea Ripley's on the entranceway laughing, and that's basically the segment. So, like I say, this segment basically setting up what looks like will be the main event, firstly, between Asuka and Charlotte, but later on down the line, most likely a triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship between Asuka, Charlotte Flair, and Rhea Ripley. Also on the night, I'll just get to it now, we had an Alexa Bliss promo backstage with her doll, Lily, saying, you know, they photoshopped Lily into some of Alexa Bliss's childhood pictures, saying that Lily's been around for a very long time and Lily didn't like the Fiend. She told a story about how Lily makes her do certain things, like how there's a girl at school that was being awfully nasty or something like that, and Alexa Bliss pushed her off the swing, calling the little girl a bitch, which I thought was really funny, and told the teachers that Lily made her do it. So yeah, Lily is now this is controlling the powers of Alexa Bliss, it looks like. And Alexa Bliss said that she didn't like the Fiend and she doesn't like the other girls in the locker room, so, you know, they should beware or something along those lines. So yeah, I hope we see Alexa Bliss re-enter the women's division as this kind of supernatural character. I think it'll be really cool. Maybe somewhere down the line she beats Rhea Ripley for the title. Who knows? But yeah, we will move on to the next bit of action on the show, and that was a women's tag team match, Lana and Naomi versus Shayna Basler and Nia Jax. In the opening stages, we saw Lana be you know, she got her arm crushed under that stomp thing that Shayna Baszler does, and then she had her arm in a leg lock also. She had her arm in an arm lock, not her arm in a leg lock. And then she was looking for the tag from Nia Jax when all of a sudden Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke came through the entranceway, and they were replaying Mandy Rose falling at WrestleMania. They then replayed what happened last week, where they got their comeuppance on Nia Jax, and Nia Jax was slipping all over the thing. Nia Jax got raged and started walking up the entranceway to do something to these women. And with that happening, Shayna Baszler was obviously calling Nia back. Took her eye off the prize. Lana tagged in Naomi, a double team move to Shayna Baszler, and Naomi pinned Shayna Baszler. So yet another loss for this team, yet another loss for Shayna Baszler. If I'm correct with what I worked out the other day, you can see the post on my Instagram. This is now 9 losses. Well, this isn't a singles loss, but yeah, another loss for Shayna Baszler. She's been pinned, nearly 10 times in about 12, 13 matches since the beginning of this year, which is crazy for someone of the pedigree of Shayna Baszler. But yeah, they clearly don't rate her somewhat. So yeah, we are seeing maybe Nia and Shayna Baszler finally come to an end. They had some words backstage as well. Maybe Naomi and Lana will become the new tag team women's champions. I don't think these belts are going to be around for very, very long. The way the whole division is just getting treated, and I just can't see there being a women's tag belts. I think it might be something they retire and maybe one day bring back, but it's just a mess, that division right now, honestly. Next up on the show, though, we had a Miz TV segment. Miz and Maurice, no John Morrison, which was interesting, came down. They were celebrating how well Miz and Mrs. did on the USA Network last week, I believe. Just being themselves, funny, goofy, kissing, champagne, all of that kind of stuff. They got interrupted by Damian Priest. Damian Priest said, well, you didn't beat me clean last week. You had help from your missus and all that kind of stuff. And then Maurice kind of jumped the gun here and offered Damian Priest a match against the Miz on the night. Which Damian Priest said, that's what I came here for. So yes, I accept. Damian Priest had a swig of their champagne, said it was nasty, and the Miz threw a glass of champagne into Damian Priest's face. And Miz and Maurice made away from the ring. I guess obviously peeing off Damian Priest before the match that they were gonna have on the night. So I guess we're getting a bit more of Miz and Damian Priest now that the Bad Bunny stuff is done, seems to be done. Interesting to see that Morrison wasn't around. I wonder what the reason is for that. But I do think long term, it looks like somewhat Maurice is kind of getting back on TV. Maybe Morrison splits from Miz. They have a little feud. We'll see how things go from there. Next up, we had a singles match between Elias and Kofi Kingston. Before I get to that match, guys, please smash the like button on this video. We thoroughly appreciate it every time you do hit the like button, and it does loads for the channel, pushes this video out towards more people so more people can see it. So one more time, if you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up button. Elias versus Kofi Kingston on the show. Next up, we saw Elias do the usual stick of starting in the ring, gonna play the guitar, and we saw Xavier Woods, like he did last week with the trombone. He was up on the entranceway this time round and playing the bass guitar to kind of interfere with what Elias was doing. Anyway, we got to the match, Kofi Kingston versus Elias, and for what I guess we all probably thought was just going to be a standard Kofi Kingston win, we saw halfway through the match, Xavier Woods took to the bass again, and he was playing Stone Cold Steve Austin's entrance music, and whilst Kofi was stomping a mud hole through Elias. Really interesting stuff from these guys. But the match didn't go as planned. When Kofi didn't put Elias away with the SOS, I think it was, I thought, oh, interesting. Okay. They continued wrestling. Elias was on the top rope. Kofi went up there, I think, for a Hurricane Runner. Elias pushed him off. And Elias got on top of the top rope and delivered an elbow drop from the top for the win. Elias pinning former WWE champion Kofi Kingston. Very, very interesting stuff there. I wonder if they have any plans for Elias going forward from here. Or maybe this is just to build to like a tag team match between Elias and Riker and the New Day guys, maybe a number one contendership match. Who knows? But very interesting to see Elias get a win here. I can't remember the last time Elias won a match, if I'm completely honest. So yeah, they clearly like Elias a lot. Maybe not as a wrestler so much, but definitely from a character standpoint. So yeah, interesting to see him get a win here tonight. Like I said, probably one of the first wins I've seen from Elias in a very, very long time. Next up on the show, Drew McIntyre was granted his match with Mace and T-Bar, a handicap match. So the match started as a handicap match. Um, didn't last particularly long. Drew McIntyre found himself in the ring alone with these two, and these two were just plummeting him down at one point. The referee called off the match because they weren't using the tags. And as they were laying into Drew McIntyre, we saw Braun Strowman's music hit. Braun Strowman came down to the ring. So the match turned into a tag match: Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre versus Mace and T-Bar. And again, this match was just, four big men just going at it. We saw a point in the match where Drew McIntyre was in the ring with Mace and actually ripped the mask off Mace, revealing Dio Madden. Who would have thought it? And we saw Braun Strowman then get into the ring and rip the mask off T-Bar, revealing Dominic Dijakovic. Who would have thought it? So the ex-Retribution guys have been revealed. They've been unmasked. Drew McIntyre went on to beat up Mace with the mask in hand. So that caused a disqualification, I believe. And T-Bar and Mace actually won this match. Yeah. Very, very interesting. Now that they're unmasked, I know they done a promo on, I think, WWE.com without their masks as well. So it looks like their masked days are over, which is good. We heard before Raw that Shane Thorne and Mia Yim have been moved over to SmackDown. So hopefully that's a new lease of life for all of these guys, and they can shake this terrible gimmick which didn't come to life, didn't come to fruition. And yeah, it's just a new start. Like I said, these two would probably make a good pairing for now in the tag team division. And yeah, I really hope we see them flourish through whatever they're gonna do. I've got a question here from Glenn Clark. Thanks for joining us this morning, bro. He says another title they should retire is the 24/7 title. It has no screen time anymore, and I was surprised there wasn't even a change of the title in either of the night of WrestleMania. That's very true. I guess that's in regards to my women's tag team title comment. 24/7 title's been missing as well for some weeks. Like Glenn says, we ain't seen it for a while. And the title we are seeing, the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, they're not really doing anything with. Now it makes sense why NXT, basically made their own tag team belts for the ladies. Sheamus this is the first time we didn't see him on Raw last week. We saw him this week with the title. We're about to talk about Sheamus very soon. The Raw Tag Team Champions, AJ Styles and Omos, we haven't seen them. We haven't seen them since WrestleMania, and I don't know what that's about. And of course, WWE Champion himself, Bobby Lashley, he wasn't on the show this week either. Very weird what is going on right now, honestly. It's not been a good start to the new season following WrestleMania right now. It's not been interesting or a good start at all. But we'll get back to the review. Next up, we had Miz and Damian Priest. This match was okay, nothing special. Miz was ready for this match this time. He wasn't wrestling in a suit or anything like that. But this was more or less a showcase for Damian Priest getting his win back following what happened last week. The Miz only really delivered offense or looked threatening anytime Maurice got involved, whether that was a distraction or, actually trying to hold down the Miz when he was pinning Damian Priest like she did last week. But we saw Priest be a bit more smarter to it all this week, and Priest hit his finisher, hit the lights, and pinned Miz in the middle of the ring. So yeah, Damian Priest gets a big win over the Miz, someone obviously that the company uses in these spots to get guys over, but obviously still rates very highly. Next up on the show, we had finally the US champion Sheamus show up. He had a bit of dialogue backstage first with Adam Pearce, where he was basically telling Sheamus, maybe you could do an open challenge for the US championship. Sheamus seemed to decline, but then when he was in the ring, seemed to say that, yeah, it's an open challenge for the title. I don't know, but he wasn't dressed for a match anyway. And halfway through his spiel, Humberto Carrillo came out and interrupted him. Looked like he was gonna accept the challenge. Humberto Carrillo, which we haven't seen in this kind of capacity for a while. We've seen him running around in the locker room, the jobber locker room as I call it, or the 24/7 division. But we haven't seen him come out in a singles match or anything like that, especially on Raw, for quite a while now. He looks great. He looks in great shape. We saw some pictures of him some months back where he looked absolutely jacked. But he got absolutely beaten up by Sheamus for coming out and answering him. Sheamus pretty much making an example of anyone that wants to answer my open challenges. This is what's going to happen to you. And he beat him all around ringside, put him in the ring, hit him with a bro kick. Yeah, left Humberto Carrillo laying. And Sheamus looking really strong as the US champion. I wouldn't mind him doing an open challenge and putting on these great matches that he has been putting on for the past year. But he actually gets wins this time round. That would be really interesting to me. Let me know what you think of Sheamus maybe doing an open challenge week to week for the US Championship. Last but not least, we had the main event match, Asuka versus Charlotte Flair. Rhea Ripley sitting on the entranceway watching this match take place. Pretty decent match between Asuka and Charlotte Flair. They've had better. There was a bit of kind of miscommunications, and I wouldn't quite say botches. I'll just say miscommunications here and there between the two women. But yeah, really decent match to kind of bookend a not so great show. What we did see is when Asuka had Charlotte Flair in a Asuka lock, but she rolled to the bottom rope to get out of it. And then we saw Charlotte go and transition to put Asuka into the figure eight. And as she got closer to the ropes, Rhea Ripley left her position and dropped her belt, grabbed Charlotte Flair's arms so she couldn't, do the arch bit into the figure eight. And then that helped Asuka escape. Obviously, that distracted Charlotte and quite obviously pissed her off. Asuka put Charlotte Flair in another crucifix pin for the win. So Asuka actually wins against Charlotte Flair here, and Asuka leaves ringside area along with Rhea Ripley left the ringside area. Charlotte seething, can't believe what just happened. Telling the referee, didn't you see that? And all of this kind of stuff. Charlotte Flair attacks the referee. Pretty vicious attack, punches him up in the corner, forearm smashes to the back of his head on the ground. And we even saw her leave the ring a couple times, come back to continue her work, left the ring one final time, came back and delivered a gut kick to the referee. Post after the show, after the match, it was announced that Charlotte Flair has been fined, and I guess this is all kayfabe, but she has been fined $100,000, and she will also be suspended. I guess for the foreseeable future. I'm not sure how long the suspension is for. Probably just be for 1 week. But I'm still sure at the end of this, we're gonna get Charlotte Flair versus Asuka versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania Backlash for the Raw Women's Championship. I do like this new side that Charlotte is showing. She is a Flair. Flairs are heels. There is no space for all this babyface stuff, which they have tried with Charlotte numerous times. This iteration of Charlotte really reminds me of her 2015, 2016 run in the company once she came to the main roster and she was done with the PCB stuff. If you guys remember, when she was just this nasty heel, really just winning matches, dominating, whether it was on SmackDown or Raw, just winning championships after championships. She looks like that Charlotte in terms of like I don't want to comment too much on her physique or anything like that, but she looks slim and more trim again and looks a bit younger as well in the face, and she's reliving that, and they're making the most of it, and it's very interesting. We know how much this company loves Charlotte anyway, so I'm here for this Charlotte run. I'm enjoying seeing her kind of just accept who she is as the best and the heel and all of that kind of stuff. Let me know what you think of Charlotte's current run down below in the comments. But guys, that is it. That is the Raw review. I'm not sure if I should say if you guys should have enjoyed Raw. It was okay. It was better than last week, but it's still not great. Very far from where it needs to be. But you know, it's the flagship show apparently, so we watch it. Guys, hit me up with a thumbs up if you haven't already. Give the video a like. Let me know what you think of Charlotte's run, of the Retribution guys unmasking, and anything else that you think on the show. Put it down below in the comments. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you get notified each and every time I drop a new video. WrestleManiac UK signing out, and I'll see you soon.